I know it's been a while since I put one of these together. However, I thought I would discuss a topic which sort of become a big thing over the past summer, and that is the rewrite, reimagine, reinvent, remake, basically any of the various rewords that we get so often seen with something that's already been out before. And these are something that are mixed blessings. Sometimes they are very well done. Sometimes they are just garbage. And why is that? Well, it all stems down to what they are. A remake generally is something that has existed before and is just redone, sometimes because the quality of the original might not look the best, sometimes because with newer technology, some things that they had wanted to do in the original can be now done better now. Does this mean it's a good thing? Yes and no. Yes and no. Because let's look at some of the remakes that we've seen over the years. You look at the original King Kong, you know that was done in the 30s or 40s, one of the two decades. And henceforth, look at what you're looking at there. It is amazing work for that time. Look at Peter Jackson's King Kong. Now, people who never saw the original think it's amazing, but people who've seen the original and see the new one today, Peter Jackson's version, well, let's face it, I'm my own father, and I've watched the original King Kong. I've watched, I think, the 70s versions of King Kong. And regardless of what you say about Peter Jackson's version, I haven't seen that one, but the quality of the work done when the original was made basically trumps the quality of the work done now. I mean, my father said King Kong, the Peter Jackson one, was way too long. About an hour and a half into the movie, and they still hadn't left Skull Island. And again, it just is a sign of the times. Look at, and here's another case of a remake in the 1998, I believe it was. The Nintendo 64 saw its first RPG in the form of a game called Quest 64 here in America. Most other countries knew it as Holy Magic Century. Now, I have this game. Well, had the game. I now have an emulated copy, but it was brilliant for its time. But some things about it weren't fleshed out properly for release. A few years down the line, they released a game on the Game Boy Color called Quest Brian's Journey. Quest RPG Brian's Journey. And I've played that. And it was basically the same thing that was on Nintendo 64, except the story had been fleshed out more. They kept all the mechanics of the game. The only thing it didn't have was, of course, the 3D graphics, but what it did have was remarkably well done, in my opinion. And remakes, like I said, they have to go to for me, they have to go a great way to impress me. Let's look at another a case of a Redux possibly. And that is, of course, well, Redux. When I look at it, it is basically the same thing except updated a little and maybe a little something extra plus put in. Ocarina of Time has had this done a few times. Each time a new system came out, they found a way to bring Ocarina of Time back. I think they did like a vamped up version for the Game Boy, for the 3DS. Nicely well done. They did it after some time for Majora's Mask 2, which that too was well done, and they even added a little extra things to it, which in this case benefited it. And that's basically, you don't change with a Redux, you're not changing much, you're just adding a little something to go with a new system or a new way of looking at it. But now let's look at the Reimagine. And this is where the big thing comes in, and I could go on a tangent on Ghostbusters. I mean, Ghostbusters is a franchise in and of itself that embraces alternate possibilities. If you don't believe me, look at the Ghostbusters cartoon. There was an episode in which Ray, Peter, and Egon ended up in a ghostly world that was parallel to our world, and their equivalents there were called the People Busters. So there you see that they do see a chance to look at our things, and with the various items that have the Ghostbusters name on it, including the original concept in that from the 1970s. Of course, the ones we're most familiar with from the 1980s. The cartoons that spun off from that. The games that spun off from the movie franchise. You have basically, and I'm also going to mention there's a book too, but you basically have there about, I'd say about 5 or 6 different alternate versions, each stemming from different points. So the movie the past summer, Ghostbusters, with an all-female group of Ghostbusters, was not unplausible. I mean, with the passing of Harold Ramis, you knew you couldn't have the original crew again. And so this is, in a way, what they call a reimagining. And they acknowledge it happens in an alternate universe. So, you can't dismiss it. And it's not impossible to see it happening for women being the Ghostbusters. That's a brilliant idea to me. I'd have to probably wait until it gets released for a rental or something, but it's something I could get behind seeing. And of course, like I said, also with reimaginings, you could do anything with it. And of course, then you also have the rewrite, in which someone goes through their original work, updates it a bit, because if you made it as part of a series, you might want to add in details that you didn't initially add in the beginning. Always possible, and it should work. I did that, and I went from, about a 67-page work to about a 90-some page work, and I'm thrilled with it. And like with some rewrites or some reimaginings, maybe you're just looking at something that already exists from the eyes of a different person. I mean, for example, how would the game, how would how would Final Fantasy players like to play Final Fantasy VII from the point of view of Sephiroth? It's a possibility. Or what if you played through it not with Cloud Strife as your protagonist, but Tifa Lockhart the whole game? Again, you could have a completely different game. Same basic story. Should work. That's basically what we have to look at with like the Rees. And you have to look at it with some of these. You have to give it the benefit of the doubt. You have to give it something to lock on to catch the reader's eyes. I mean, let's see. The writer pulled it from fanfiction.net. I haven't been able to find it again, but I have a copy of it. Someone had the creative idea to merge Harry Potter with Generation X. And so you have to retell the story of the fifth Harry Potter, incorporating the new characters that weren't there in the first place. Would be interesting. Part of me would like to see Rowling write Harry Potter from the point of view of someone else, maybe from Ron Weasley or from Severus Snape. That would be an interesting read, just to see how these characters viewed the story of Harry Potter. But that's basically the reason in a nutshell. Hopefully now that the summer's over, I can get some more of these put together and some other things worked on vocally. So just keep an eye out on here. And also I want to thank some of you people out there, because my one bit on the blank slate character, and I think where I mentioned like Stacy Rowe from Daria, that has been, I think, the most popular of all these videos that these YouTube things that I put together. I mean, that's had a hell of a lot of views by now, and well, when you compare it to some of my other stuff. And I want to thank all of you who linked to that, or if you're linking to it, or if you came up to it by searching for Stacy Rowe or something like that. And I'd like, more of you, if you find my stuff interesting, to subscribe and let me know. Okay? Anyhow, that's all for this one, and hopefully in the future I'll get a few more out now. Take care.